Hi, I'm Larry Puckett, the DCC guy. Today I want to go back and take another look at LEDs because in the previous videos that I showed you, I was mainly looking at the clear white LEDs that we used for locomotive headlights and for lighting the interiors of buildings and that kind of things. There are a number of other LED colors that are available that are very useful for model railroading, including red, yellow, green, and infrared, in addition to the clear white ones that I've talked about previously. So let's go ahead and get started with that after we run the opening roll through. Okay, before we do actually get started taking a look at the LEDs, I want to point something out. Recently, somebody made a comment to me that asking whether or not the change in the name of the channel would affect their subscriptions. And that, and it doesn't basically, but that brought something to my mind in that I haven't been getting any email notifications from YouTube recently, and I was wondering what was going on. So I started digging around, and then yesterday I was watching one channel, and the guy on the channel mentioned that YouTube was no longer sending out email notifications. So that was the first I had heard of it. You would think that they would let the creators know when they make changes like that, but they don't. At any rate, I did some search on the web and found out that since the middle of August, YouTube has stopped sending out email notifications when new videos are posted on a channel that you have opted to follow. So that's a change that has come about because they did a study and found that hardly anybody opened those emails that they were sending them, and basically just cluttered people's mailboxes. So they have suspended doing that, and you will still get notifications though on the YouTube apps on various devices, and also if you are using the Chrome browser to view YouTube, then you will get notifications through that. But otherwise, it doesn't sound like you'll be notified at all. So just remember that I do new videos on Mondays and Fridays, and you can go directly to my channel and check that, and you can still find it as the DCC guy there. Do a search, and you could even set up a direct link to it when you get there. Be aware, though, that those videos will be coming out essentially every Monday and Friday. Friday for sure. Mondays, sometimes I don't do one if there's a major holiday, like I didn't do one over Labor Day weekend and things of that nature. But generally, there'll be Mondays and Fridays until I announce something different here. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up. Okay, so let's go ahead and start taking a look then at LEDs. And for that, I'm going to, focus down here on the workbench where I've got some things laid out. And we'll go over some of the things about LEDs that I haven't really talked about in the past videos. Okay, so I have an assortment of LEDs here of various sizes and the like, and different colors. And I want to just run over a few things. So the first thing that I want to talk about, though, is the relationship between voltage and amperage, because LEDs are dependent on both. And one reason for that is the relationship between the voltage of an LED and its operating current, or amperage, is not linear as you might suspect. In fact, it's exponential. So as you change the voltage a small amount, there can be a large increase or decrease in the current, the number of amps going to these devices. And these devices are both, voltage and current dependent. So what does that mean? Well, different ones turn on at different voltages. So for example, the white LED that I've previously used, this one turns on at around 3 volts. And once you get much below 3 volts, you're not going to get any light out of it. And the same is true for green as well. And basically these, you'll see two values when you are purchasing LEDs. Very often they will have a specification sheet on the Mouser website, DigiKey, Jameco, all electronics, very rarely will you get this information. So you have to be aware of that. But at any rate, the white and the green are somewhere around 3 volts. As a minimum, they'll work a little bit below 3 volts, but once you get much below that, you're not going to get them to turn on. They also will go up to somewhere around 3.5 volts. And then you're getting into territory where you might damage them. So you have to be aware of that. Now, on the other hand, our red and our yellow are 2 volt dependent LEDs. So they will come on at about 1.7 and max out at about 2.4 volts. And their typical voltage is going to be somewhere around 2 to 2.2, something in that range. And very often when you purchase an LED, they will tell you the voltage that it was tested at and the amperage. So you'll typically will see something like 3 volts and 20 milliamps as the testing conditions. But that doesn't mean that that's what you have to work with, because at 20 milliamps, they're going to be at a very, very bright state. And as a result, they're not going to last as long as if you run them at 10 milliamps or 5 milliamps, and they can work across a wide range. And one of the things that I always do when I purchase new LEDs is I buy some extras, and then I test them at different voltages and different amperage settings so that I can find out where the best brightness is for the application that I'm going to use them for. And if you operate these, like I said, at say 10 milliamps instead of 20, they're going to last a lot longer because they're not going to operate as hot, and they do heat up a little bit, and that voltage and current relationship is also slightly temperature dependent. At any rate, let's go on and take a look at these. So I said the white and the green are about 3 volts typically. The red and the yellow are somewhere around 2 to 2.2 volts typically. And then I've got a couple of others here, and I need to go back and look at the spec sheet on these because they're a little bit different. And I'll show you that in a minute. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about how you can calculate the voltage and the resistor value you need in order to get the voltage that will drive these the best. And it's called Ohm's law, okay? And what you need to do, in most cases, you're going to be working with something around, and assume 12 volts, okay? And for each of these, I've just told you they work across a range of voltages. Now, where can you find that information? All you have to do is get on Google and do a search for LED voltage values, and you will come up with just tons of tables for various different colors of LEDs. And as I said, you can also get that for your specific LED if you buy it from Mauser or DigiKey or somebody like that. They'll have a spec sheet where you can get that. So basically, I just created a little table of my own. I don't know if you can see that. It's getting a little blown out. But I just created a little table of my own for the generic range of different colors of LEDs. And I use that, as a starting point to test these, like I say. Okay, so one thing, though, that you can do, and I've shown you this before, I use these battery holders, and there's 2 AA batteries in this one here, so it is about 3 volts. Although right now it's getting old, so it's down at about 2.8 volts. And it comes, with a red and a black lead for positive and negative. And that serves as a very good tester because it's typically not enough to blow even a red or a yellow LED, and I'll show you that. But as I've told you in the past, the long leg is the positive. Also, very often on the side of these, on the one side, there will be a little flat spot molded in, and that indicates the negative leg, okay? So you can usually find one or the other. And then, you can just test it real quick by lighting it up with this AA battery setup. You can see that one is red, and, you can do the green one, come in. So that's a pretty nice bright one. And these are the 5 millimeter ones. The 3 millimeter are the ones that I typically have been using for most applications lately. And again, the yellow. So this is a quick and dirty way to test them and the like. And again, I've showed you how to use these in the past for lighting cabooses. So it's a nice bright white light. And that is working with the battery. So you can test and find out how well they work and how bright they are at that value. But as I said, you really want to be able to get the proper current and the proper voltage for these. So the way that you would come up with this is, like I said, with Ohm's law. And with Ohm's law, it's basically the resistor size is equal to the voltage drop that is required divided by the current in amps. Okay, so like 20 milliamps, that's 0.02 amps. Okay. Now, very often you'll be working with a 12-volt power source, say. And that's what you assume when you're working with locomotive headlights with a decoder. It's probably going to be closer to 13 in most cases, but most people work with 12. And let's say you want to light one of these green ones at 3 volts. Now, so 12 minus 3 volts is equal to 9. So you want to drop 9 volts. And then you divide that by, let's say, 20 milliamps, or 0.02 amps, and that will give you a value of 450 ohms for that resistor. So pretty straightforward. But in most cases, I typically start with a value of 1,000 ohms. And again, that's because of this exponential nonlinear relationship. Very, very often, you can cut the current in half when you go to these suckers, and they'll still be very, very bright. And commercially, the folks at Sound, on their Sound Direct decoders, they use a 2200 ohm resistor. So that, they're down at about 5 milliamps for these guys. So, and you get very, very bright light from that. And the reason for that is that the intensity of a lot of these LEDs varies quite a bit. And that's why testing up front is important, so you can find out how bright of a light you're going to get for a given voltage and a given amperage. Okay, so that's one of the things you definitely want to try. Now, how can you use a lot of these? Well, obviously, I've told you how to use these guys here. They're pretty straightforward for headlights. And, I showed you how to use the strip lights for lighting cabooses, and you can use those in your buildings and the like. And they come already set up to be used at 12 volts, so you don't have to worry about all these calculations. Now, the other thing, the red and the green have been used in signals and that kind of thing for years. And that's why I have switched from these great big ones here to using the small 3 millimeter type values here. So you can use these in your signals. And back when Oregon Rail Supply was still making signals, and they're still in business, but they're not making anything anymore because the original owner died. But at any rate, he used these small LEDs like this in the signal heads. And that's one purpose for these, is if you can get signal heads, you can use these in those. And another type of LED that I wanted to show you are these bicolor LEDs. Because LEDs you can get some that come red-green. You can get versions that have red, green, and yellow. And there's even a 4 LED available. And I haven't looked at that one though, but the typical ones I use are the red-green. And what I want to show you here is that there's 2 types of these. So I'm going to hook this up, and they have what's called a common leg here in the middle. And so if I go ahead and attach my positive wire to the common in the middle, and attach the negative to this side on the right, on my right, you get a green light. You go to this side, and you get a red light. I don't know if you can see that. Well, okay, there's the green. Let's see if I can make it. Unfortunately, it's hard to show that because of the intensity of the light is not being the color is not being picked up well. But one side is green, one side would be red. So you can do a red-green type of signal operation just by using a switch that goes back and forth between the 2 legs with the negative power. And with the 3 LED version, of this, then you could go red, green, and yellow just by switching between the 3 different legs. On this one, it only has 2 legs. So if I attach it this way, I get a red one. If I flip it, I get green. So that's another way that you can use these in signals and just switch back and forth between red and green. And you could also use these in some locomotive lighting situations, marker lights, that kind of thing, where they use different colors of lights in the headlight markers and in the warning marker lights as well on headlights. So that that's one of the things you can do. And these, again, it's simply using a switch to go back and forth to reverse these 2. And on this one, it's you're setting up the center positive and then switching between these 2 with negative. So it's a fairly straightforward way of using these LEDs to light up signals and in your locomotives and things of that nature. So, they're very easy to use, and the calculations for Ohm's law are very straightforward. Again, it is simply calculating the voltage drop that you need to make between the power source you have and the value of the LED that you want, and then dividing by the operating current. So, like I said, I will often start at 1,000 ohms anyway and just go up or down from there, and that way I can experiment with the voltage before I ever really commit to using one or the other. And that's probably the easiest way to go about doing it, because it sets you at a point with 1,000 ohms that is going to give you a slightly dimmer light, and probably with the high intensity light LEDs that are available today, you're probably going to be wanting to operate it somewhere around 10 milliamps instead of 20. And if I remember correctly, the NCE illuminators and Lightits I think they put out somewhere around 5 milliamps. So they already come set up at a much dimmer lighting setting. Well, that pretty much wraps up all I've got to say about LEDs. They're a very useful little device. They have pretty much displaced incandescent light bulbs in model railroading. I don't know of anybody, maybe Athearn is still using incandescent 1.5 volt LED light bulbs in locomotives, but I think just about everybody has been replacing their light bulbs with LEDs because they last so much longer. So I hope that the material that I've just given you will allow you to go ahead and work a lot more with using LEDs on your model railroad. So for now, have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday with a new video. Bye now.